London, 1963. The air buzzed with anticipation as the summer heat settled over Wembley Stadium. Cassius Clay, the self-proclaimed greatest, strutted through the hotel lobby with the confidence of a man who already wore the crown. His entourage followed closely behind, absorbing the sheer magnetism that radiated from the young boxer. "Henry Cooper?" Clay laughed, his voice carrying across the room. "They call him our Henry, but after Tuesday they'll call him their memory." His words weren't just for show. They were the foundation of his strategy, a psychological warfare he'd mastered almost as well as his footwork in the ring. If this story has already made you feel something, however small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from and subscribe to the channel. Across town, Henry Cooper laced up his boots for one final training session. At 32, the British heavyweight champion carried the hopes of a nation on his broad shoulders. His left hook, lovingly nicknamed Henry's Hammer by the British, in press had floored better men than Clay. In his modest gym, far from the glamour surrounding the American, Cooper studied footage of his opponent with unwavering focus. "He's quick, no doubt," Cooper muttered to his trainer, Jim Wicks. "But he's never felt power like mine. And that mouth of his, it's writing checks his body can't cash." The contrast between the two fighters couldn't have been more stark. Clay, 21 years old, undefeated and untested in many ways. Cooper, the seasoned warrior, battle-hardened and determined. Clay danced through press conferences, reciting poetry and making bold predictions. Cooper quietly prepared, letting his fists speak for his ambitions. June 18th arrived with electric anticipation. Wembley Stadium transformed into a coliseum of modern times, 45,000 spectators filling the seats, their collective breath creating a fog of expectation that hung over the ring like London mist. In his dressing room, Clay shadowboxed. Before the mirror, his movements fluid, almost supernatural in their grace. "I'm gonna float like a butterfly, sting like a bee," he told his cornerman, Angelo Dundee. "His hands can't hit what his eyes can't see." Cooper sat silently in his changing room, his expression carved from stone. He visualized the left hook that would shock the world, replaying it in his mind until it became inevitable, a prophecy waiting to be fulfilled. Neither man knew that night would forge a moment in boxing history that transcended sport. Neither realized they were about to craft a narrative of vulnerability and resilience that would echo through decades. The ring lights cast dramatic shadows as both fighters made their entrance. Clay's entourage included Malcolm X and several millionaire investors who had backed the rising star since his Olympic gold medal days. Each wore custom suits worth thousands of dollars, gold watches glinting under the harsh lights. In the front row, billionaire industrialists and Hollywood elites had paid premium prices for seats, creating what newspapers would later call Millionaires' Row. Cooper entered with considerably less fanfare, but commanded respect from the British crowd. Among his supporters sat Lord Sebastian Kane, a shipping magnate whose family had controlled European trade routes for generations. Kane had recently offered to sponsor Cooper, promising a 7-figure deal if he could defeat the brash American. The pre-fight instructions seemed almost a formality. Clay towered over Cooper, his physique chiseled to perfection, while Cooper's more rugged build told the story of a fighter who'd earned his status through grit rather than natural gifts. When the bell rang, Clay immediately established his dominance. His footwork was mesmerizing, creating angles that seemed to defy physics. His jabs snapped Cooper's head back with surgical precision. The American's custom-made Italian leather boots, rumored to cost more than most fighters earned in a match, barely seemed to touch the canvas as he floated around the ring. "Too pretty, too fast," Clay taunted between combinations, his gold-capped mouthguard flashing under the lights. The diamond-encrusted championship belt he coveted gleamed at ringside, its value representing both athletic achievement and financial windfall. Cooper absorbed the punishment with stoic determination. His strategy was clear: weather the early storm, wait for Clay to tire or grow overconfident, then unleash the left hook that had become his signature. Each round that passed saw Cooper growing stronger, more determined, while Clay's showboating increased proportionally with his lead on the scorecards. By the third round, Clay's dominance had many of the millionaire spectators checking their Rolex watches, wondering if they might make their dinner reservations at Claridge's after all. The fight appeared one-sided, with Cooper's face beginning to show the damage from Clay's relentless jabs. In Cooper's corner, Jim Wicks whispered urgent instructions. "He's dropping his right when he backs up. That's your moment." Cooper nodded, tasting the iron of his own blood, feeling the swelling beginning around his eyes. Lord Kane leaned forward in his seat, the seven-figure contract hanging in the balance. Clay returned to his corner after the third round, Angelo Dundee massaging his shoulders with practiced hands. "You're putting on a show, champ," Dundee said. But don't play with him too long. This is business." Clay nodded absently, his eyes scanning the crowd, noting the celebrities and wealthy patrons who had come to witness his ascension. The fourth round was about to begin, and history waited in the wings. The fourth round began with Clay continuing his masterclass. His platinum credit card sponsor executives watched with satisfaction from their premium seats as their investment danced and jabbed with seemingly untouchable grace. Cooper, however, had begun timing Clay's movements, noting the subtle patterns in his footwork, the almost imperceptible drop of his right hand when he prepared to throw his jab. With less than 10 seconds remaining in the round, it happened. Clay backed up after a combination, his right hand dropping slightly as he prepared to reset. Cooper saw his opportunity and unleashed Henry's hammer, a left hook that connected with devastating precision to Clay's jaw. Time seemed to slow. Clay's legs turned to rubber, his eyes momentarily vacant. The mighty American crashed to the canvas as 45,000 voices erupted in collective shock. The millionaires in the front row stood in disbelief, their champagne glasses forgotten in their hands. Lord Kane was already on his feet, calculating the marketing potential of Cooper's impending victory. Angelo Dundee leapt into action with the desperation of a man watching millions of dollars collapse alongside his fighter. As the referee began his count, Dundee committed what many would later call a tactical breach of the rules. He helped Clay to his corner, buying precious seconds of recovery time by claiming a tear in his glove that needed inspection. Clay sat on his stool, eyes unfocused, as Dundee worked frantically to revive him. "Wake up, champ, wake up," he shouted, applying smelling salts and ice to Clay's neck. The owner of Platinum Luxury Watches, who had signed Clay to a six-figure endorsement deal just weeks earlier, gripped the ringside barrier so tightly his diamond rings cut into his palms. The bell rang for the fifth round. Clay, still dazed but recovering, rose from his stool with newfound determination. The vulnerability displayed in the previous round had stripped away the showman, revealing the fighter beneath. Cooper, sensing victory within reach, pressed forward with renewed vigor, looking to land that same left hook once more. But Clay had transformed. Gone was the dancing, the taunting, the unnecessary movement. In their place stood a focused predator, economical in his movements, devastating in his precision. He targeted Cooper's already damaged face with ruthless efficiency, opening cuts above both eyes. Blood streamed down Cooper's face, obscuring his vision. Each punch from Clay found its mark with increasing accuracy, widening the cuts until Cooper's face became a crimson mask. The wealthy spectators, who had momentarily questioned their investment in Clay, now relaxed back into their luxury seats, ordering another round of $1,000 champagne. Cooper fought bravely through the blood and pain, still seeking that one punch that could change everything. But Clay, having tasted vulnerability for the first time in his professional career, refused to provide another opportunity. The referee had seen enough. With Cooper's vision severely compromised by blood, he stepped in to stop the fight. Clay had won by technical knockout in the 5th round, but the story was far more complex than a simple victory. In his corner, Clay collapsed onto his stool, the adrenaline giving way to the sobering reality of what had happened. For the first time, the world had seen him vulnerable, mortal. Cooper had shown that the self-proclaimed greatest could be hurt, could be dropped, could be seconds away from defeat. As medical staff attended to Cooper's cuts, the British fighter received a standing ovation that reverberated through Wembley Stadium. The millionaire investors and celebrities joined the working-class fans in appreciation of Cooper's heart and that momentous left hook that had nearly changed boxing history. In the post-fight press conference, Clay displayed none of his usual bravado. "Cooper hit me with a punch that brought me all the way from Louisville," he admitted, his voice quieter than usual. "He's a good fighter, a gentleman, and the people of England should be proud." Cooper, despite the loss, had secured his place in boxing law. His stock had risen so significantly that Lord Kane honored the 7-figure sponsorship deal anyway, recognizing the marketing potential of the man who had nearly dethroned Clay. "Henry Cooper's name will now open doors previously closed to him," Kane told reporters while signing the contract with his diamond-encrusted fountain pen. The match transformed both men. For Clay, who would soon announce his conversion to Islam and change his name to Muhammad Ali, the experience of vulnerability became a crucial foundation for the resilience he would need in the battles ahead, both in and out of the ring. The lessons learned against Cooper would serve him well when facing Sonny Liston for the World Championship, and later during his stand against the Vietnam War and his comeback against George Foreman. For Cooper, the fight elevated him from national hero to international boxing figure. Though he never won a world title, his name became synonymous with courage and the puncher's chance, the belief that one perfect shot could change everything. Years later, when Ali was asked about the toughest puncher he ever faced, Cooper's name always came up. "That left hook," Ali would say, shaking his head with a smile, "sent me into another postal code." Their careers followed different trajectories after that night, but they remained forever linked by those moments in 1963 when a British warrior nearly changed history and a future legend discovered the resilience that would define him. In boxing's rich tapestry, few threads shine as brightly as the night Henry Cooper dropped Cassius Clay, and Clay rose to become Muhammad Ali, the night a legend fell, and an immortal rose from the canvas. If you made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this truly touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.